Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's developer update. I think we're going to actually start with a video from Dan that was pre-recorded. So, Andy, you want to put that up for everybody?
Hi, everyone.
Everybody, this is Dan coming to you, not live, but close enough from sometimes sunny and, now mostly rainy Southeast Asia, an undisclosed location in Southeast Asia that I will disclose soon. So this is an announcement of an announcement. Yes, it is. All right. Well, what's been going on? Well, this week has been pretty packed. First of all, we are still working on the integration, and it looks like we're actually possibly are close to the finish line. Again, we will announce it with the exchange partner once the date is solidified, but I think we are very close, and we are just as eager to get this going as you are, so trust me, I'll be very, very happy once we get things settled and we can announce the date, but it is drawing close. We're also working with other exchanges for integration, and so I think once we're done with this one, we're going to have other ones coming up fairly quickly, down the road. So I think, this is going to be the start of a really nice wave of listings for us. So stay tuned for that, and, hoping the market conditions improve and we can get the most out of our more widespread accessibility to Ergo. All right, next. What is next on my little old guy list? Because I can't really remember stuff very well anymore. All right, well, this week I have been speaking to another highly accredited university about creating potential, not potential, but creating blockchain Ergo-centric curriculum that will be available as a credit and as a vocational course. So basically, you'll be able to take it without being enrolled in the university. And there's going to be courses you're going to be able to take at the university as part of the university curriculum. They'll actually have credits go towards your major, or go towards one's major. The educators here I am very, very, very excited to work with them. So once we develop this, I believe it's going to be in the next couple of months. So because everybody here is just really excited to get started. Once we announce that, and once we formalize the relationship, we will let everybody know about the courses. And then, of course, I and everybody would love to get your feedback on other potentially important fields that you would like to see covered in the courses going further down the line. Another vertical I've been working on out here is working with the local precious stones and precious metals industry and basically discussing with them on how to integrate blockchain technology into their various processes. So again, something I'm very excited about. And I believe that there's a lot of potential here once we actually get more focused on specifically what we can do out here for the industry. I will let everybody know, what that is. We're still in the early stages of joint research and what specifically can be the lowest hanging fruit and the highest value add for the industry. But they are very excited about using blockchain and Ergo for various aspects, the various pain points that are hindering the industry right now. So I believe that this will be a very, very, very interesting opportunity to advance on and to work on. All right, one more. Yes. So while we have gotten quite a bit of interest in working with us on the conference that is coming up in Las Vegas. So as I said before, I'd like to bring the community together and have our top projects, or any project that would like to showcase what they've got, join us for the convention. We're still looking for more people to work with us, so please feel free to reach out to me and let's make it happen, guys. I really think that this is a great opportunity for us to really meet the public, to talk to people face to face, to show what we have. We have a lot of incredible, awesome projects that I believe need to meet the public, literally. So again, please feel free to reach out to me, and we will make it happen. All right, guys, that's it for me. And I now hand it over to Joe, who's probably sitting there with a giant cup of coffee right now. So, so long, everybody, and I will see you next week.
Yeah, let's get into the questions, everybody. Did you have a update for us, Alex?
Sure. Yeah, actually, yesterday's chat was very hot, and yeah, I think now it's kind of Cambrian explosion in the ecosystem. So a lot of things going on. So GetBlock launched Plasma powered subpool. And yeah, Payday is considering plasma related, plasma powered staking contracts. So yeah, layer 2 is going to be deployed even before than expected by me, at least. And yeah, dark pools, uncollateralized lending, and yeah, progress reported on Xlayer, also known as Ergo, and yeah, but basically, well, for all the applications, we know, well, there is some progress reported. And yeah, so 5.0 testnet under testing. There was a new node release 4.0.35. Yeah, which was battle tested on the GetBlock pool for about 1 week before the release. And yeah, it seems it's much better in regards with well, handling some peer-to-peer issues. And yeah, also a lot of optimizations made and so on. So yeah, in regards with both core development and applications development, yeah, everything is going very well. So soon it will be a video about dev update, right, based on the yesterday's devs chat. And yeah, also yeah, we had community chat on DeFi and the DEXI stablecoin design on Tuesday. So it was actually also a very good and very hot community chat. We discussed Babel fees, liquidity pools, well, composability of all the well, liquidity sources we have, such as well, liquidity pools, Babel fees, CQSD bank, which also can be considered as a kind of DEX and so on. And yeah, so after the chat, I published, well, an idea I had in mind, and we discussed during the chat about decentralized grid trading, right? So yeah, another trustless, well, solution to provide liquidity and get profit from it. And so on. So yeah, a lot of things going on, and yeah, we urge application developers to test 5.0 testnet, and then we'll consider a way to mainnet deployment. So a little bit more testing is needed there. All right. So actually, I'm not quite following probably all the updates even these days. Not possible anymore, it seems.
There's a lot of good tooling that's kind of coming out in parallel. Exciting times to see everything plugged together.
By the way, so for desktop users, there is now only a desktop version of Ergo Wallet available. And it's got also the first plugin for its Mosaic plugin system. So Ergo, another desktop wallet, which is going along the node, is doing quite well, and also getting a new awesome design. And so thanks to Ergo, we are getting more and more nodes in the network. So reportedly, so there is now Ergo nodes website. Also announced recently, by the way. And according to this website, we now have more than 600 nodes. And in reality, maybe even more, because there are now complaints that for some countries, the website is not showing any nodes, but there is a person which is running a node in the country. So there should be at least one node, definitely there, not zero. More wallets we are getting. And so Babel fees is already in some testing version of Nautilus wallets, right? And testnet testing is coming, as far as I know, for Babel fees in Nautilus.
Yep. Actually, that's one of the first questions, was about the Mosaic framework. Augustus Kent is asking, have you heard about it on the dev update? Please help me understand what is Mosaic and what are Mosaic apps. So what Mosaic is it's a GUI, or graphical user interface tool, that helps developers design both the user interface and kind of connect various front-end applications to blockchain. I believe this morning, actually, TokenJ released the first Mosaic build, which is going to be inside the wallet itself, that allows users to interact with the SigUSD bank. So basically, the goal with Mosaic is to start building front ends into the desktop wallet. So if developers out there have a application that they want people to have a much simpler user experience interacting with their application, Mosaic is a great way to plug it directly into the wallet. So you don't have to go to the browser. It's somewhat similar to the user experience TokenJ has done in terms of interacting with SigUSD on mobile. So the ideal scenario there is to pull dApps into the wallet, which makes the user experience a lot more seamless and integrated in one kind of package. And I think that's a great way to potentially drive the adoption of your dApp. That way, people don't have to find your website. They don't have to, connect their wallet. It's more seamless.
Right, yeah, so it's kind of a plugin system for the wallet, which allows you to develop applications to be shown inside the Ergo wallet, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we got going on here? Question for you, Alex. What would you have done differently if you were to start Ergo again today?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, so probably, with the current knowledge, non-outsourceability wouldn't be there right at the moment of launch. But outside of that, it's hard to say actually. Maybe, difficulty adjustment would be a little bit different. Assumptions, it's based on, the paper based on probably not very realistic, but that could be said about, all of the difficulty readjustment, right? So, there is a need for a lot of tweaks there, actually. And not sure what else. So I guess things could be added via soft forks or even contracts, right, on top of the blockchain if some functionality is missed. It's actually worth to explore how much can be done in a velvet fork or soft fork ways. So something like that.
All right. We've got a question from Fabian Wolf, who says, once Ergo minting is all over, all of the coins are mined, do you believe the incentive for miners will still be large enough to secure the network?
Oh, it's hard to say, right? So there are a lot of variables in this equation.
Yeah.
So I'm now watching a little bit discussions in the Bitcoin community, right? So it seems it's even worse there, right? So for Ergo, at least, we have storage rent, right? So there are some considerations to be done when it will start to work from July 1st, 2023. Right, so in less than 1 year, actually. Then we will see, and there will be a lot of time actually to maybe modify behavior of storage rent in non-breaking ways. So there is possibility to change its parameters via just miners voting, right? And then if we will need to smooth the rewards our blocks, then it's doable via a soft fork only, and there will be a lot of time for such a soft fork. In case of Ergo, miners can earn some additional tokens, secondary tokens via emission contracts, right, for other tokens, like GetBlock already doing. So I think in future we can have a lot more of this. So in Bitcoin, there is a little bit similar maybe concept of merged mining. But here we have everything in the same chain, right? So maybe some merged mining profit possibilities will arise in the future as well, if the hash rate will be big enough, especially.
Yeah, I saw that GwapSwap actually gave like a title for that. They were calling it a fair initial mining
offering. Yeah, so FIMO, like FOMO, but FIMO. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. I thought that was a nice term they put together. That's actually a really big driver. Once Ergo starts to go over the cliff, because it opens up new projects in a really unique way, right? One thing that I think miners do not get enough credit for generally is a lot of miners are users, right? And proof of work has always been really good at coin distribution and bootstrapping community. So, if a dApp developer out there builds something interesting, they launch in a way that is fair and gives economic incentive to miners to mine. It really gives a unique way to bootstrap a user base versus just, I don't know, airdrops or, that sort of, token distribution. I find a lot less interesting than bootstrapping via work. So that's something that, we're still building out. I know with Babel fees, with Guap Swap, we're getting a lot of kind of the back end tooling that could potentially make that user experience really seamless. And hopefully, as we get open source frameworks that are developing in parallel, we continue to build tools that make, newer DeFi dApps more interesting and really build out the performance on top of the network. I think that's ultimately what's going to drive unique projects. Sometimes in this space, I think there's like a drive to recreate what's already been created in a new environment, right? So it's like, okay, let's copy what Ethereum functionality already is, but put it on a new chain. And there's some value to that. It kind of catches us up, in terms of like application, programs. But I ultimately think extended UTXO can do some really unique things that can't be replicated in other environments. And those are probably going to be the DeFi dApps that drive the most value.
Yeah, and to add, miners are often developers. And even earliest big contributors such as MHS or Jason Davis. So they came from actually Zcash mining initially. So MHS did some mining, and Jason Davis, I believe, made one of the first miners for Zcash. Now we actually have a lot done by miners. So GetBlock shown a lot of interesting contracts and made that Plasma library. And GoupSwap, is also a project by miners. And I believe a lot of other projects, actually started by people from mining sub-community.
Yeah, I guess people kind of forget there used to be a point in time where if you wanted to be a participant in one of these networks, that was the go-to way, was to mine the network rather than, we didn't have the exchange infrastructure that we have today. If you look at like early Bitcoin days, that was how you participated for the most part, is you mined versus just kind of came in through the retail side. So the proof of work has always been pretty good at bootstrapping that type of community. All right.
Yeah. And so it's about also investing, right? Something. So so in case of FIMO, so in comparison with airdrops, right? So to get tokens, there is no need to make some stupid actions like submitting your email, right? Or social networks to somewhere, trying to cheat the system by registering fake accounts to get more tokens, as people are usually doing, actually. So here is a kind of fair lottery, right? So you are buying basically lottery tickets with your hardware. and then getting rewarded. So yeah, it's I think a very viable alternative to airdrops. I mean, FIMO, initial miner offering.
Yeah, talking to a lot of the community people, managers that run the chats, it's a lot of times when you get the airdrops or free giveaways, they just get bombarded with new people trying to come in, get free stuff, and sometimes the chats can almost be like unusable.
All right, yeah. So in Ergo, we made a couple of airdrops, with partners. So one was with Magnum Wallet. It was later shut down, and then Coinsbit exchange, and especially for Coinsbit exchange, that was like Telegram groups made unusable for a few days because of a lot of newcomers writing complete nonsense for unclear reasons even. So there was no any reason to write nonsense in a Telegram group to get free tokens. But I also believe there are actually a lot of bot farms, right? Or human farms which are farming tokens.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's probably the case where, sometimes you may not even be inviting, a bunch of users. You may just get a couple that are spinning up a bunch of wallets or throwing a bunch of bots in chats. Fun, that you get a little crazy. All right, what else do we have? This is a community question. What prevents institutions, bigger hedge funds, and fund managers from putting their money into this asset class and using cryptocurrency right now? It's a good question. I would say there are probably a couple of answers, right? Probably the biggest answer right now is I don't think there is a great deal of understanding in terms of the technical capacities of these systems. And I don't think that price and value have found any sort of balance yet in this space. So that puts that asset class as a whole in the really high risk, high volatile category. It's one of those things where it's just new technology. It's still emerging. I do think over time, things will probably settle down. At least I hope so. But, then again, it's kind of hard to say that in the crypto space, because every once in a while, there's just things that make you scratch your head and wonder, what's happening around. Now, in terms of the let's say balancing a portfolio, I don't ever see cryptocurrency being a huge part of a standard portfolio yet. There's not a lot of long-term stability. It's not something that I would say, hey, grandma, why don't you put a significant portion of your retirement fund in? And it's just too volatile, right? I think at best it'll be a smaller percentage of a portfolio that just, is on the high risk side. Now, there are funds that come into the space, but usually what they try to do is get into a project early, plug in a lot of marketing infrastructure. Usually they're market making on the back end. And, a lot of the times I don't see a tremendous amount of value to communities as a whole with that, especially when you just get closed source code, right? Because it kind of brings in a player that, your average community developer is going to struggle to compete with, and they really leave nothing behind for the community to continue to grow. Now, what could happen over time is DeFi gets a little less crazy. We get away from the token printers. We see more stable returns. Ultimately, time is going to be what kind of shows that this asset class has the ability to produce stable returns, and then the risk assumptions over time will go down, and then you could see more traditional funds using it as a certain allocation of the standard portfolio. But we'll see. We're not there yet, in my opinion. What's your take, Alex?
I don't really know much about that, to be honest. I mean,
okay.
All those funds, retirement funds and so on. But maybe, with time, risks will be better understood, right? And maybe it will be possible even to have some low volatile and low risk products, right? On top of currencies. So on top of stable coins, right, which are on top of cryptocurrencies, but then, actually we have additional risks, right, stacked up. So then, it's needed in the first place to understand all those risks to start with, right, before getting in some big money.
No, it's just the truth. And the reality is there's a tremendous amount of leverage and risk in a lot of different aspects of cryptocurrency. And so, if you look at the risk allocation that the average fund is going to be willing to take on, I think at this point, at best, we're going to still be, in the low single digits in terms of general exposure. In terms of balancing the risk across the portfolio. That's just the truth. I mean, you can look at like a lot of the back end leverage and, under collateralization that just blew up in our space. The risk assumptions there were terrible. I'm surprised some people would be willing to give that type of funding, to be honest, but it's just something I'll scratch my head at in the space. That doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not the one making that decision. All right, let's go to the next question. This is to me. Joseph, do you all desire about becoming a parallel asset with Flux? If it occurred, would love Ergo wallet to hold Flux. I talked to them the last time. I believe I was involved in a messaging with the Flux team was like yesterday. I think the first step is simply getting some community infrastructure hosted on Flux and seeing how it performs, right? I'm not that familiar with the Flux ecosystem or like the backend performance. They're a decentralized hosting service, and I think the best way to start any type of partnership there is to get some infrastructure plugged in and see how it performs, especially when there's high load. And then obviously I could take that information, go to other dApp developers or infrastructure providers in our community and say, hey, these are, basically the performance that we've seen. And I think that's a great way to introduce, let's say, a longer term partnership there. Do I find that interesting? Sure. I find that type of hosting on P2P networks interesting in general, even beyond Flux. I think, if there's a couple of different P2P networks out there, ranging from Urbit to things that will host Dockers. And I always find that type of distributed infrastructure interesting. In terms of the parallel asset itself, it's basically bridging, right? What are the assumptions there? That's something that generally I care about a lot because I don't want to put users in a unknown risk environment. And that's something that I still need to look into. And I think would be good just to have an open discussion. That way people understand the trust assumptions if they're going to be bridging, to Flux or to Ergo in the future. that's important. And fortunately, in my opinion, in this space, the risk assumptions when it comes to that sort of infrastructure is not talked about nearly enough, right? And I imagine if it were more, let's say, out in the open, it may change people's perspective in certain places. An example, the one bridge got exploited, that broke down to a 2 of 5 multi-sig, as the security. And, now they're in kind of like a situation where they're trying to remediate the damage, and that's painful. It's kind of like I don't know, you create that type of situation, you get into like moral triage, right? There's no right choice. Every choice is painful. And ideally, if we have open, transparent assumptions, at least we may be able to avoid that. And that's my goal with any type of partnership that involves bridging or, some sort of trust assumption, is that we make sure that's known so people can understand the assumptions that they're inheriting by making those choices. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, so I will jump on that conversation. So with Flux, I mean, not quite following it at the moment.
Yeah, I dropped you in there, but no worries. You're busy.
To be honest, a lot of other conversations going on also. So don't know much about Flux, unfortunately, even. But yeah, we'll check.
So I have a question next from David Oliveira. He said, today questions for Joe and Alex. Joe, how can we appeal to developers to start on Ergo? Through Ergo raffle, maybe. Actually, I saw that Cha-Ching gave a open bounty, right? And I was really happy to see that in the ecosystem. I think that bounties are a great way to offer like the first initial step into the Ergo ecosystem. Now, one thing that I would love to see come together, that I think we still need some tooling to achieve, is a community driven DAO that's more driven by projects rather than the Ergo Foundation. I think we would probably need to see Ergo team come out, and I know that ErgoDex has shown interest. I know that Aneta BTC has shown interest. And it would be really nice to have a developer fund that, basically projects on top of Ergo seeded basically open source tooling that benefited everybody. I think that incentive is really important, but longer term, I would love to see the community run that versus the Ergo Foundation itself, because it becomes more sustainable, right? It becomes something that the community kind of runs externally. And I think the creativity and just the manpower is there versus inside the Ergo Foundation. But I do think grants, Ergo hacks, basically mechanisms of incentivizing development and perhaps documentation, perhaps research, perhaps frameworks, is a really good driver for adoption. Now, I do think that open source development does tend to attract a certain type of developer. And so we're always happy to try to get them into our ecosystem and join the community. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, so bounties, raffles, hackathons. So yeah, working well. For sure, tutorials also helping a lot. And by the way, the second part of the step tutorial was released like yesterday. In regards with documentation and tutorials, things are constantly been improving. For bounties, I think we can put bounties maybe on more libraries like this Plasma. I believe I even had a talk with Kiran about that. Potentially we can improve some existing libraries which do not have bounties, so put issues there and mark them with bounties. It's the very interesting way to develop software, actually. I witnessed a few efforts before, but I believe what we are doing in Ergo is, at least very competitive, right? And actually working quite well.
Yeah. It's something I'd just like to see grow, and if we can have a community DAO come together, where projects actually put a portion of their treasuries together, and then they put their heads together to say, okay, what do we need to be performant? What do we need, tooling wise, and create incentives out there. Not only could they potentially grow the ecosystem, but they also have the ability to potentially attract new developers. One thing I do like about our open source community is there's a lot of crossover, where developers are helping in multiple areas across multiple projects, and that's amazing to see. So I hope that grows. Next, we have a question from Panda. Is it an issue that two stablecoins will coexist? What if one is significantly more secure than the other? You want to take that, or do you want me to answer that, Alex?
I believe it's about DEXI and CQSD, right? So, I believe we will see more stablecoins in future, because it's about constant research, right? And a lot of trade-offs in designs. So you can always launch a new stablecoin then with different trade-offs than before. If we are talking about DEXI and CQSD in particular, the first instance of DEXI will be pegged to gold, right? And then I think actually it would be kind of helpful for even CQSD holders to have another stable coin, right? Because due to USD to gold price arbitrage, you will always have some trading volume in CQSD to DEXI Gold pool, right? This additional arbitrage possibilities probably would be beneficial for both DEXI and CQSD, DEXI Gold and CQSD.
Yep, I can't disagree. I pretty much give the same answer. Let's see. Next, we have Marcus Mueller, who's asking, could you explain what is being done on the Explorer side? What are the plans to not just depend on one Explorer?
Good question. So, as we are working on integration with that exchange, right? So, it was actually needed before. So if an exchange, for example, is using the Explorer for just a couple of queries, so maybe it would make sense to develop a microservice, right, which is just pulling data from a node and then building inside it database to serve just a few specific queries. So even talking about the exchange, about building and deploying such service, right? So instead of deploying dedicated Explorer instance or using public one, it would be much better, right? So deploying Explorer instance would be quite costly, and using public instance is not that good, obviously, right? And it's about centralization of the ecosystem. In most cases, this dependency could be avoided, I believe, with some simple scanners, right? And scanner-based microservices. So I'm also talking with Anon Real regularly on how to avoid auction house dependency on the Explorer. And actually it seems now, with some new API methods added to the node, not so much left there. But unfortunately still there is some dependency.
All right. Hazy1 Kenobi has a question for you. Can we get a quick rundown on AVL trees, Plasma, and what that's going to bring to Ergo?
All right. Yeah. So actually, there was a plan back in 2021 to write down kind of cookbook on that called Ergo.meta, right? So it was before Meta by Facebook announcement, actually. All right. So actually we are following that plan, but terribly slowly, to be honest. So there was off-chain bank design forum post, right? And so after that Kieran started to play with Plasma like designs. So the first one was actually described in that off-chain bank forum post. So now we have some additional writings from Kieran, right? And it seems after Kieran now, ErgoPath developers also going to understand what's going on there, right? So it's very slow transmission of information, unfortunately. I guess I will put on the forum some new designs soon, and at some point it would be good to summarize, right, different options. So roll-ups, Plasma, what's the difference, what are the trust assumptions, what are the real applications such as get block pools and staking contracts and so on actually doing, right? What are the trust assumptions and adversarial models and so on. That takes time, actually a lot of time, right? And currently we are in state of chaotic development still, unfortunately, and kind of phase where information is being transmitted slowly but surely. So eventually I hope there will be some cookbook on different options there, right? And what is this about? But in short, in addition to custom tokens, right? Read only inputs and so on. So all those features which are making Ergo design quite unique. Well, and it was truly unique, I believe, at the moment of the mainnet launch. There are more features there which are still not uncovered well. One of them is AVL trees. Basically, that is about support for authenticated data structure on the contractual layer, so Ergo 3 layer, and the Ergo script as a higher language, also supporting tree operations. And by having this support for data structures, authenticated data structures, so you can have a very small on-chain footprint, right, and then do a lot of things with that small footprint, whether on-chain or off-chain, right? So you can just publish footprint updates, or you can also publish operations. Then there are a lot of possibilities. For example, you can just publish new states and skip operations in optimistic case, right? But in a pessimistic case, you can also publish operations, so you can have kind of plasma or roll-up design, right? So, with operations published, it's more like plasma. Without it's with operations, it's more about roll-up. Without it's more about plasma. So both are well-known solutions, but you can have actually something in between and so on. So yeah, it's actually about a huge design space we are just starting to uncover. So yeah. There are some writings already, as I mentioned before. So this off-chain bank article by Scala Hub, and then there is some document from Kieran. I guess it's published. So if not, you can ask him. So yeah, I read some document from him. So maybe there will be some document from ErgoPad guys, and I'm going to publish some new designs soon. So I recently published a few forum posts which were in the queue for a long time. So for now I need to publish trustless oracles posts. Likely this week, and then I can start publishing stuff about all those three related things.
All right, you ready for one more question, or do you think that's good to wrap it up?
Maybe one small question.
All right.
No more.
Let's see what we have here. Here's a high-level question for you, Alex. What is Merkleized finite state machines, and how does it compress smart contracts?
Basically, it could be seen as a generalized version of Merkleized abstract syntax trees. Actually, it's good to see such a question, because I published that. I even forgotten what was that. Maybe some blog posts. It was even before the forum, so it's actually very old stuff from 2019, 2018 even. All right, so it's a generalized version of Merkle's abstract syntax trees, which were proposed for Bitcoin. And with Merkle's finite state machines, you can, unlike Merkle's abstract syntax trees, also have cycles in your contracts, the execution traces. All right, and what's good is that you are just publishing a hash initially on chain, right? Hash of a contract description, and then you are just showing execution paths during the actual execution. So what's good here? In the first place is somewhat privacy. So you are showing only paths which are executed, right? So you're not showing other paths. So you can, for example, have privacy, right? If there is in process of contract execution, right? So only in case of dispute, you are showing corresponding path, maybe with revealing some identities involved in dispute resolution process. In the second place, you are publishing less data on chain, less code, right? So you are publishing only parts of your contract which are actually executed, not the full contract. So I actually thought about this recently. So, it was around 2018. So there is an example of Merkle's finite state machine in Sigma State repository, but it's done in Ergo tree because it was before Ergo scripts was implemented, at least finalized degree when it was at least useful. I have an idea. Hopefully, will time find for that. So to write an example in Ergo script now and publish it, because in Ergo tree it's not. It's not so easy to understand for most of developers, probably. So Ergo tree is kind of assembly language, right? So it's low-level language. For Ergo script, so there is no example even. So I think to write down an example at some point and publish it.
Just add a little bit more to your plate, my friend.
Everything is good. So let's finish with that.
All right, everybody. I want to thank you for tuning in today. I hope the discussion, piqued your curiosity. You learned a little bit. We'll be back next week to take questions and interact with you guys.
All right. See ya next week. Bye, guys. My pleasure.